Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today, for our 55th D&D 3.5 Prestige class review, we're going to look at the Wild Soul Prestige class from the Complete Mage Sourcebook. Wild Souls tap into the power of the Fey Courts, either Seelie or Unseelie. Sometimes they are known as Primal Souls or Mystic Mavens. They learn to summon Fey Spirits to aid them in battle, as well as gaining special abilities while those Fey Spirits are present. To become a Wild Soul, you need to be of non-lawful alignment, have 8 ranks in Knowledge Arcana, and 4 ranks in Knowledge Nature. You also need to be able to cast 2nd level arcane spells, and you must peacefully spend 1 day among the Fey after making contact with a Fey creature. Roleplay requirements aside, this Prestige class's prerequisites are not at all restrictive. You will almost definitely have ranks in Knowledge Arcana as an arcane spellcaster, so the 4 ranks in Knowledge Nature are your only real obligation. And it only requires 4 ranks because sorcerers do not get that as a class skill, and this class is geared towards sorcerers somewhat. But wizards, Wu Gen, even beguilers, war mages, and duskblades can all take levels in this prestige class without much issue. In fact, the example character given for this prestige class is a Wu Gen. The Wild Soul only gives you a d4 hit die, so it's not going to be geared toward a frontline character. Instead, you will summon other monsters to do your bidding. This is a 10 level prestige class with a d4 hit die, goodwill save, and half level base attack bonus. You get an improvement to your arcane spellcasting at every level except for first. That's definitely a price to pay, but this prestige class is stacked with features to try to make up for it. At level 1, you choose between Seelie and Unseelie Court. Seelie being good aligned and some neutral aligned Fey, and Unseelie being some neutral aligned and evil aligned Fey, but never good aligned. You choose this group according to your alignment, and it can't change unless your alignment changes. These are 2 different groups of Fey that determine which spells this class gives you to spontaneously cast, as well as what Fey creatures you can summon. And once you make your choice, it can't be changed, again, unless your alignment changes. You also get a bonus equal to your class level to bluff, diplomacy, and intimidate checks made against Fey and magical beasts. And at level 1, you're also going to gain some spontaneous spells. This feature allows you to sacrifice any prepared arcane spell or spell slot to cast a particular spell of that level or lower. So this works similarly to a cleric's ability to spontaneously cast cure spells, or a druid's ability to spontaneously cast summon nature's ally spells. These particular spells come from a list depending on what court of Fey you chose. You get an access to 1 spell that you can spontaneously cast of each spell level as you go through the prestige class, and there's 1 spell option for each court. At level 1, you're going to gain access to levels 1 to 3 spells. For Seelie, this is going to be Remove Fear, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and Invisibility Sphere for levels 1 through 3 respectively. For Unseelie, it is Lesser Confusion, Detect Thoughts, and Poison. None of these spells are truly fantastic, but they are all nice to have up your sleeve for those situations where they do come in handy, and that's part of the point of this feature. Especially Remove Fear, which is rarely worth preparing. When it's needed, it is sorely needed, so it'll be good to have it available without taking up a spell slot. Likewise, always having access to Detect Thoughts gives you a lot of capability and investigation. Invisibility Sphere isn't a bad infiltration spell either. This perhaps tips the balance towards Seelie being the favorable option for spontaneous spells, at least for now, but you are going to get more spells later on as you advance through the class, so let's see how that goes. At level 2, you gain Summon Seelie Ally, which lets you summon from among a Pegasus, Unicorn, Blink Dog, or Senmerv if you choose Seelie, and an Urania, Howler, Young Redcap, or Shadar-kai if you choose Unseelie. You can use this summoning ability 3 times per day as a spell-like ability, and not only that, but you also add these creatures to your summon monster list to summon with that line of spells as well. Keep in mind you only get 1 group of these as an option. Being able to summon a Pegasus to fly around the battlefield or ferry the characters across a chasm, or being able to summon a Unicorn to heal the party is great. Howlers and Redcaps are cool, but they really don't measure up to the usefulness of the other 2 monsters. So this makes the Seelie Court the clearly more attractive option so far. Also at level 2, you gain Seelie Bond. This is a series of minor benefits you get while you have a Fey creature summoned with your Summon Seelie ability, or a Summon Monster spell. At level 2, this is immunity to all sleep effects, which is sort of nice, but it's not as likely to come up at higher levels. At level 3, you gain access to 4th level spontaneous spells, between Break Enchantment and Bestow Curse, depending which court you chose. It is a hard choice, but the former is more likely to come up to help an afflicted PC, as well as being a spell that you don't want to commit to putting in your list of spells known. At level 4, your Seelie Bond includes a +2 on saves against enchantments, stacking with the bonus that elves get to such saves. You also gain access to Summon Monster 5-tier Fey creatures, allowing you access to Nixie and Satyr for Seelie, and the Shadow Mastiff and Joy Stealer for Unseelie. The Shadow Mastiff could be potentially useful for scaring away an entire army, but it can affect you as well with that fear ability. Joy Stealers are interesting if you somehow come across a low charisma creature that isn't immune to charisma damage, but it's unlikely you will. The Nixie and Satyr have some nice utility, but oftentimes you will probably just want to summon 1d3 lower level monsters with this tier of the ability. At level 5, you gain access to spontaneously casting either Baleful Polymorph for Seelie Fey, or Endless Slumber if you chose Unseelie. Endless Slumber is a new spell from the Complete Mage Sourcebook that is normally a level 6 spell for sorcerers and wizards, so you kind of get it early. It puts one living creature to sleep permanently unless they take damage, which will wake them up. It also has a will save to negate, which probably makes it better than Baleful Polymorph for taking a creature out of the fight, as Baleful Polymorph can be negated by successful Fortitude save, and monsters tend to have higher Fortitude saves in general. Unseelie is probably the better option here, but it can be nice sometimes to have Baleful Polymorph to use against a spellcaster, or someone else that's not going to have a good Fortitude save. At level 6, your Seelie Bond gives you a plus 10 foot bonus to your speed, while you have a Fey creature summoned. Your positioning as a spellcaster isn't important as it would be for a rogue or fighter, so this feature isn't much of a game changer. You also learn to summon either Pixies and Shimmerling Swarms for Seelie Wild Souls, or Displacer Beasts and Winter Wolves for Unseelie Wild Souls. Shimmerling Swarms from the Monster Manual 3 are immune to all weapon damage, being small enough as swarms, and they can fascinate creatures within 300 feet. And it's not limited by hit dice. This could potentially affect your party members too, so be aware of that. But it can still be a useful way to deal with lesser foes, and even deal with them non-lethally by distracting them while you slip past. Displacer Beasts, when buffed up, can make great use of their displacement ability to last a long time in melee combat. Winter Wolves have roughly the same number of hit points, and while they have a breath weapon, it's short range and doesn't deal much damage, so the Displacer Beast will usually be the better option for Unseelie Wild Souls. At level 7, you are able to cast either True Seeing or Mass Suggestion. Mass Suggestion can be helpful for dealing with groups of monsters, but True Seeing is a great spell to have in your back pocket, like the others. You don't want to always have it prepared, but when you need it, so it's a great use of this feature, allowing you to spontaneously cast it instead of another spell at any time. This is going to be another point in the Seelie Fey's favor. At level 8, you get more monsters that you can summon. Seelie Fey Wild Souls can summon a Liland or a Leskylor, the latter being a lion-headed creature from the Book of Exalted Deeds. Unseelie Wild Souls can summon an Annis Hag or a Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisps being immune to magic and having a touch attack that is all but guaranteed to hit, make it a great way to harry foes in melee that aren't immune to the electricity damage. Annis Hags are good grapplers, but they don't have a lot of hit points, so the Will-O-Wisp will be a better choice in most cases. Lilands are great spellcasters who can heal, open doors, and use Hold Person, and so on. But Leskylors are very good melee brutes with Pounce and a number of attacks. It has a mediocre breath weapon, but with some buffs it will be really great in melee. This is definitely a monster that would benefit from the book's suggestion of augment summoning for Wild Souls. Also at level 8 you get +1 to the DC of illusion spells you cast while you have a Fey creature summoned. If you do like to throw illusions around, this is a nice buff, especially as few creatures are fully immune to illusions. At level 9 you get either Prismatic Spray or Waves of Exhaustion. Prismatic Spray is a more reliable spell, and while Exhaustion can be a massive debuff, Prismatic Spray is a chance of just sending a creature to another plane so you don't have to deal with it anymore at all. Definitely another point for Seelie Fey Wild Souls. At level 10 you get your 8th and 9th level spontaneous spells, either Sympathy and Time Stop for Seelie, or Horrid Wilting and Wail the Banshee for Unseelie. This is a bit more evenly split in quality, and it really depends if you prefer utility or offensive capability. Also at level 10 you get your final tier of summonable monsters, either Bearhounds and 3-headed Leskylors for Seelie, and Redcap Elders and Regcars for Unseelie. Regcars have some good spell-like abilities, but their best one, Hero's Feast, requires 3 of them together to cast it, so that's not going to help you out, especially for the cost of an 8th level spell for a 6th level spell effect. Redcap Elders have a lot of hit points and they can hit decently hard in melee, although with the power attack values shown in their stat blocks, they're going to have trouble hitting a lot of the foes at the level you'll be using them at. 3-headed Leskylors get 5 attacks on a Pounce, plus 2 more Rake attacks, giving them amazing offensive potential. Bearhounds have the same number of hit points, but far inferior attacks, other than their natural attacks being enchanted and counting as magical. So the 3-headed Leskylor is likely your best option here. Buffing this up with Augment Summoning and some other spells can make this a really good melee brute, possibly on par with your party's fighter. You also get +1 to your enchantment spell DCs while you have a summoned Fae present. Enchantment magic tends to fall off in effectiveness at higher levels as you face more and more monsters that are just immune to it entirely, so this feature isn't as good as your bonus to illusion spells, but it's still a nice little touch. None of the Sealy Bond features are particularly game-changing anyway, but they are free bonuses, so there's really nothing to complain about there. Overall, the Wild Soul gives you some great summoning options and spontaneous casting options at the cost of 1 level of spellcasting. Given the density of features it gives you, it's hard to begrudge it asking you to give up that 1 level. For a primary caster, this might not be the best option if you need to be on top of getting to the next level of spells at every level, but summoning is an extremely powerful option in D&D 3.5, so getting more options there is great, including some with spell-like abilities of their own that you can use to further augment your versatility. Also, being able to summon monsters from this list 3 times a day as a spell-like ability effectively gives you 3 free spell slots, freeing up some of your others for spells to augment your new friends. This prestige class deserves 4 stars for concept and 4 stars for execution. Not every feature is a winner, but most of them are. This is a great prestige class for a character who wants to summon a variety of powerful monsters and have good utility spell options in their back pocket to fill in when needed. I would definitely recommend the Sealy Fae option overall. The spells better fit the type of spells you want to have spontaneously cast in your back pocket instead of sitting in your spell list or list of spells known. And the summonable Fae monsters are better options overall, although the Unseelie Fae does have some superior choices. It's just the general trend is the Sealy Fae gives you better spells and better monster options. Wild Soul is definitely a prestige class worth considering for your next sorcerer, wizard, or Wu Gen character. So that's going to be it for this D&D 3.5 prestige class review. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.